deep breath. Sit back. Wait. Before you do that, adjust the volume on your audio because I'm about to play some music. And I guess no, it starts off the way it starts off, so I don't really want to fade it in. So just tweak your settings so you're not blasting your own ears out in a hot second. Now, take a deep breath, sit back, close your eyes, and contemplate the cosmic mystery. That's right. Come join me in the one place only you yourself can go. Meet me, myself, and I at the very center of the place you know of as yourself. Let us gather in that auditorium of the cosmic imagination and powwow in contemplative meditation. Let us conceptually smoke the metaphoric peace pipe and breathe deep of the healing vapors of Mother Nature. Theoretically speaking, just say breathe. Let us envision the visualizations of deep, trembling tribal dancing. On a planet populated with tribes of native-born robots. Oh wait, that's a different episode. Never mind that. intradimensionally on fire, top charting, transdimensional, tribal, robotechno, remix live performance, captured live to digital audio tape in the original origin story dimension from which DJ Z originates from, calling together the fam. That opening track to today's Inside Out and Backwards episode. And now, friends, for the outro.
And that is what I've got to say about that. As always, thank you kindly for listening. This has been the Almost Daily ZenCast, with your humble host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. Until next time, may peace, love, and grooviness blossom in your heart.
This is episode quadruple zero double XYZ. The impossible, totally made up coordinates to the gooey nugget at the center of all the mayhem. The episode from which one can imagine 5 years from now, the previous 10 years worth of content winds up to and unwinds from in its whimsical, fractal, self-referential, recursive web of intra-connected, episodically expressed, disorganized, audio blogged questions and concerns about the direction in which we find ourselves facing as we, humanity, all collectively hurtle in the figurative car we might consider ourselves all sitting in, which is much more than just a car, but the living mother trying to give birth to us itself. But for the allegoric, alliterative, figurative symbolism, we'll say car. Like, humanity's all stuck in a car together. It's hurtling down a somewhat alarmingly windy autobahn in which we see no posted sign limit, which may or may not indicate an absolute lack thereof, or not, right? And we collectively speaking, humanity, find ourselves coming to the realization, as we do individually and collectively, in the sort of formative years of our post-adolescence, again, figuratively speaking, because it may happen to you at the age of 80, right? But collectively speaking, and, commonly, people seem to encounter this sort of realization in their in the early half of their life, and then sort of tuck it away and avoid it because they can't cope with the anxiety that it causes. But put a pin in that on the corkboard. We'll come back again to it, and we have, as I'm sure you may by now have gathered, already have addressed it multiple times throughout various episodes. The realization that I speak of here in this gooey nugget central I don't want to say core or pillar because it's inside of the central core or pillars within which we find ourselves. The very gooey, indescribable nexus at the blinding center beyond the core pillars that hold up the very edge of the knowable entrails, let us put it, of the knowable universe of this podcast. If we may be alliterative and light and loose with our wording. We are all trapped in this car, careening down a swervy, windy, wide open freeway. We were born in this car. We grew up in this car. We took this car for granted. We thought this car was it. All of it, that it would not change over time, that it would not have problems, that it would not encounter emergency situations in its own course of functioning, that it would not fail us and or in any way, shape, or form become fundamentally endangered in and of itself. And yet, and this is why it's so anxiety causing that people tuck it away, put it on the shelf in a box, wrapped up in tissue that covers up the fact that they put it tinfoil and tape and layers of other things before they put it in that box and put it way in the back of the darkest corner of the shelf in the back of the top of the loneliest closet in the deep in the hallway annals of the imaginary hallways of their own minds. The car is careening down this downhill extremely fast. No one is visibly attending to the wheel. Whoever is sitting in the driver's seat is blithely ignoring the responsibility of mechanical steering and acceleration and reading the road and making faster than light decisions about how to adjust one's chosen speed and direction. And is quite amazingly facing the other way, staring into the headrest and the back of the chair. And by the way, when I mean the driver's seat, I don't mean any one given politician. I don't mean any one given political party. Okay? Wait for it. It's a very long, complex, multi-tiered analogy. That's the word that wasn't coming out earlier. Analogy, right? It's a very big, sophisticated, complicated, yet, prove me wrong, dreadfully accurate analogy for where we might be able to just accurately, to clearly describe ourselves as being collectively, if we choose to look hard enough. Don't get lost in some competitive, ego-driven, more is never enough, us versus them, complicated awakening or enlightenment or storm or revolution or blah, 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 or whatever tribe and tribal talk you're caught up in. I'm talking about looking with clarity at the very big, enormous, complicated, complex, nuanced, ugly, sophisticated, confusing, mysterious, and fractally recursive situation and sets, new and chaotic scenarios that we have created for ourselves here in this platform for life. I hate the term platform because a platform is inherently flat unless you choose to make it dome-like for some reason, and then that just makes it worse. You could arguably make a ball-shaped platform, but people will argue with you about it. But I mean platform in the sense that we use in a systems language kind of way, not in an object language kind of way, right? I don't mean the simple two-dimensional thing that I could make out of plank of wood, but the service being rendered in a all-encompassing way, right? The way YouTube and Twitch and what are those other video things? Those are all platforms, right? That everyone's doing the same thing but doing it dramatically different because they're doing it to express their own particular message or idea or vision or whatnot. Whatever it might be. Okay. The freaky realization is that whoever the individuals or group of individuals or whatnot, systems, because each person represents more than one person. It's not, an individual. It's like, it doesn't even represent one group of people, right? Because that's still very us versus them, very tribalistic thinking. It just sort of represents our dualistic, non-dualistic, us versus them, and whatever the inverse opposite of that would be, as seen through the lens of someone that is attempting to liberate or having some mild success of liberating themselves of us versus them conditioned baseline thinking. Those who are in charge in the driver's seat, because you could also imagine it as like the driver's seat is we're in a big starship car and it has dozens and dozens of driver's seats, and it requires that someone sits there and drive in concert, in concerto with everyone else in all of the seats. They're all bladely. We just made up a word from some movie, because I don't even think they use it this way, but they are all bladely facing the wrong way, pretending to steer the car by articulating the whatever moving parts the seat has, right, and calling it some other kind of vehicle other than the car that we figuratively say that it is, some of them are pretending to be pirates, etc. And they're like bashing their head into the soft cushy cushion of the chair, of the seat, because in a car it's not a chair, it's a seat. I don't know why, but you take a seat in a chair, but in a car, you're sitting in a seat. You're not chairing in it. No. Oh, God. Language is so weird, especially here with you humans. You're the only ones that spell it with a Z. Yeah, weird, right? Totally meaningless, but yet weirdly specific difference between you and all the other members of your collective species. Because you're all part of the same phenomena. When someone who is truly transcendent or transcendent minded, let's put it that way, because they need not yet have achieved actual biomechanical, functional, transcendental status, in which case they wouldn't say this to you. They would seemingly evaporate into thin air and then fill you with the visually, acoustic, senso apparatously near approximate accurate representation of knowing what that is. And even then you'd be left knowing that you know only a shimmering preview, the barest essential, we almost didn't even touch kiss of what it means to know what that means, because you can't, because language fails. we at some point see this realization that the world is on fire, right? No one really knows what's going on. All the people pretending to be intelligently articulating the machinery of power are doing what I just said, and they're sucking on pacifiers too. Put an asterisk in that. That's a very specific analogistic symbol that I don't think I've explained before in the show. But it clearly is representative of a self-manipulation tool. Sucking one's own thumb, sucking on craft, man, human crafted. Anyways, there's a whole proto-Freudian level we can get to analyze it, obviously, except for the universes where Freud just worked at a landfill and never was known by any literate person anywhere. Transdimensionally, no matter what the crazy, wild, humorously bizarre differences may or may not be between your universe and the parallel universes of all the various multiple yous that co-exist and simultaneously co-manifest with each other, all the likely probabilistic possible outcomes of being you and what that might be like given the generally shared context of all of your births, and of course all the wild card variants that inherently crop up because the universe is a giant massive fractal that constantly self-recursively generates complexity by repeating itself over and over again. God bless it. It's like ultimately, no matter how you slice it, life is bashing your head against a brick wall and insisting that somehow it's not going to cause you damage. But compulsively being unable to stop too, because it's necessary. It's prerequisite. But I digress. Welcome to the show, folks. Why is this episode the Gooey Nugget Center at the center of the 10-year-long journey that is the overnight success story of the Almost Daily ZenCast? Because you're here with me right now. And you are either one of the rare few veterans that have, generally speaking, in real time, been listening most of this time all along. And you're putting a pin on the corkboard collectively about catching up on episodes and whatnot. Or you're an absolutely fresh-faced noob, and I don't say that with any judgment. I say that with love and welcoming arms because we were all noobs once. And hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't tell this to anyone else. Keep it to yourself. We will always be, especially here, now, in this place, as we know it, as we define it for ourselves, and as we choose to use it. And by this place, I mean our universe. And when I say our universe singular, I really mean collective, multiversically. So whatever universe you find yourself in, listening to the sound of this podcast, join me in enjoying that there are indeed interconnective tissues that bind us all together in ways that are mind-bogglingly complex and yet elegantly simple. Not the least of which, never to be underestimated and undervalued, is that you and I have always been each other. Dun, dun, dun! It's the big reveal at the center of my literary fictional universe that we we find that the vortex of events, the confluence of the character arcs bring us to a place where it becomes unavoidable and undeniable through the lived experience of the characters. And they're like, oh, holy snap. That's not just kinda true. That's not just sorta true. That's not just romantically sweet nothing's true. That's not just figuratively true. That's not just hippie new age nutjob woo-woo crazy strange true. That's not just functionally true. That's not just factionally true. It's infinitely, inherently, organically true. Of this reality, that reality, and every reality we've always been in. Whatever reality you are in, whatever reality you find yourself in, especially as you pause here, having taken that deep breath. You did take that deep breath at the beginning, right? Holy shit, you guys. Audience, friends, fam, future and past tense, present tense, obviously most urgently. If you did not take that deep breath at the beginning of the show, please seriously pause right here, right now. Go back, rewind, pretend you didn't start this podcast. Take off your headphones. At least now the audience, the volume is set. And I'm not kidding. This is really serious. And by serious, I don't mean like, well, I guess I do technically mean important. I don't mean like severe. I don't mean like it's someone will die, right? No. Strike that. I didn't. That was hyperbolic statement of what I am not intending. I just mean serious, as in I'm not kidding. I mean it. It isn't a joke. It isn't a prank. It isn't. I just mean please. First of all, you've probably forgotten everything we've already said. I know. I just did. I know what I've got to say left because it's coming out of me slowly. So I'm got to keep saying it. But even though I'm just going to keep saying without any further interruption, you need to hit pause right here. Take a moment, gather yourself, rewind, and then, like, if you were listening on headsets, take them off. If you're listening on the stereo or whatever, like, if you're listening on the computer, get up and walk away for just a hot second. It won't take that long. You've only been in for 20 seconds. I'm not going to tell you how long it's been. Go back, rewind, restart the show, and listen to it from all over the beginning again. Having taken a serious, and I mean like exhale, I'm serious here. Here's an instruction I didn't give at the beginning of the show. When I mean take a deep breath, I mean like take a preliminary breath, which means wherever you are in the breath cycle, interject control and clear, take a healthy inhale and then exhale everything extra out, like clear it out. Like, no, don't stop exhaling just because you exhaled a little bit. Like push, like your whole body is a bellows in a forge. And if you don't understand that analogy, for crying out loud, go to a library and read some books. I'm not going to tell you what books, but many of them explore. You'll come across the idea, the concept, and images about it eventually. But imagine as if your entire body, no specific, just sitting kind of not slumpy, and not in like that horrible, worst possible position that you find yourself in after working at something tedious that you don't want to be working on for hours and hours and hours at your quote-unquote super important job. Okay, so your body is now like truly compressed and has exhaled all the air. And then gently, without rushing, as in with some delicate sense of control, but not forcing it to be weird or prolonged or extra long or extra unnecessary or painful. Inhale. And then relax the F out and let everything go. Sit back and close your eyes. So, whatever you're doing, That was it right there. Hit pause, go back. I'm serious. I'll wait. And then catch up to where we are here right now. And then we'll continue. That wasn't even me exemplifying the really crazy intense deep breath. That was just me breathing. Okay, things that need to go on from there. You've caught up. Welcome back. This is the mind-bogglingly, earth-shatteringly real thing. That you can, in a way that later then makes it kind of intensely undeniable from then on. No matter what, seductive delusions might well up in you out of like a disorientation or a dysmorphia that might develop after having gone through this. But you can like genuinely, authentically, realistically experience a complex set of phenomena which may vary according to individual and how, what you're going through in your experience and whatnot, that just proves it. Not because of anything, not because of any law, not because of any edict, not because of any angry or jealous God that said so and now wants you to eat buttercups and, butcher dove pigeons. No, but because it is so and has always been so. You and I have always been each other. Everyone that is a person, let alone a human being in the human species, everyone that is a person, everyone that is born out of another person and or being of whatever composite materials that achieves the capacity to replicate and through a messy, life, lusty because life is always lusty, process that compromises an individual, another individual comes forth that is and I mean universally here, anyone that is a person, a fish person, a robot person, a meat and bone fleshy anthropod person, whatever, insert crazy sci-fi variable you want. Person. Whatever sits and define that according to yourself, dear friend. Right? And then remember the golden rule. And why that is so important. And the corkboard, it's a pin on the corkboard. That which you are, that which you say, I am to, that which you go, this is me, is also simultaneously, mind-bogglingly, everyone else that has ever been, that will ever be, that is right there in front of you, that has ever annoyed you, that has ever blessed you, that has ever cursed you, that has ever done you right, that has ever done you wrong. Ad nauseum forever, in this universe and in the other universe, no matter what the hell else is happening in your context, we have always been each other and one another. And it is ultimately through the deep, powerful, meaningful realization, remembering of, experiencing of, the phenomenological invoking of a direct, undeniable, unerasable, trashable, undissable, undisrespectable, undebunkable, untakeable, unremovable, unrevocable, undeniable, lived experience that you can have for yourself. Not because of some magical thing that I taught you, not because of some thing that I sold you, not because of some that anyone, right? But because it is you, because it is me, because it is everyone. It is the fundamental core, the shining bright middle of all that has ever been and shall ever be. Is that, that catchy saying, the only truth is that there is no absolute truth? There's a freaking other side to that coin. That's because all truths are only half truths, is one way of saying it, but that's because the universe is a relativistic place. One thing that it is a giant womb, right? WOMB. As in, that person with a womb, to not offend anybody, although I guess saying that is offensive to some people, but those are the persnickety ones that just choose to get offense at the steps chosen by others to take and by others to not offend those who can be offended by something tangible. But I digress. That's a whole nother argumentation, which transcends the very root of that issue, the very wedge issue at the core of that whole thing that I just brought up, which unintentionally, is erased, right? No matter who you are. And I say this inclusively. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, indifferent, somewhere in the middle, some extreme beyond compare, which is difficult, hard pill to swallow, right? Like, what would you do to put this whole thing inside of another, like, mythological analogy, right? Answer me true, dear listener, dear audience, dear internet family friend, dear fellow personhood. What would you do? Just imagine this. If two beings walked up to you, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember there's been at least once or twice that I've weirdly referenced a story that happened to me in South Korea, right? Where two honored senior gentlemen approached me and the party I was with and drunkenly insisted that we go drinking. Imagine two people walking up to you like those two wizened, wise, honored, important, respectable old gentlemen did to me and my friends that day. And if you haven't heard that story, put a pin on it. It has been told at least once or twice, possibly, and this might be a stretch, 3 or 4 times, somewhere in the long winding path, the weaving history that is the Almost Daily ZenCast, sometime in the last 5 years. So you just gotta remember that there's a story and it's right here that I'm referencing it now, and put up a pin on the corkboard for it. And it'll come around, you'll be like, aha! But I can't get distracted by it now. Imagine if the following two beings, cosmic beings, that looked like people, but also very clearly looked like something way more than people, right? But inherently also people, super people, right? Extraordinary personhood. And they happen to be, and their visual analogies are Jesus, Buddha, and what's his name? Satan. And I just totally blanked on who. It wasn't who you think it is. It wasn't who you think it is. It was totally somebody else. Shakespeare Satan? No, I forget now. Oh, I had a moment where I ran over my own little clever idea and then I kind of butchered it because I don't remember. I remember the setup, I don't remember the specific, right? It's someone that looks like a hybrid between Jesus and Buddha, and someone looks like a hybrid between some expression of Satan and someone else. That was sort of alarming and disarming and also sort of welcoming and sort of come hither. And like interchangeably, in order for it make the most sense in your mind, one of them is your favorite celebrity that is as hot or hotter than Brad Pitt, and the other one is some female celebrity that is as hot or hotter than, insert here your favorite female celebrity, for me, Linda Carter. Right? Of all the female celebrities that I would be like, because I'm a cis straight male, no matter how fancifully flamboyant my performative vocal register may get, and I do sometimes enjoy a little bit of silly, I must say, I do. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck what you think. I do it because I don't care. I am as rigidly ramrod cis straight masculine male, not toxic, like healthy, balanced male in the bedroom in ways that it counts, and not the performative. I'm not into performative masculinity. I'm into performative humanity, right? But I digress. Imagine if these two beings that I've now laboriously over-described and sort of almost lost the thread of what I was saying, showed up at you. Somewhere like, whoa, what the hell? You can incredulously not believe. And I don't mean like at the supermarket. I mean like, how did you guys get into this? How do you guys belong here? Like you belong there, but also other people belong there. And you just didn't expect these two mofos to roll up on you as if they owned the joint, right? Public, but private. Perhaps your employment, perhaps some enterprise or human endeavor / club or, what's another cool word for these kinds of things? Association, or league of like-minded individuals, where you thought you were sort of a medium-sized fish, whatever it is, your hood gang, I don't care, wherever, where you're not at home, but you're somewhere safe, where you don't think any old random, and suddenly, no random, these people are here, they belong, and they're talking at you like they own the place, and you are the newest, luckiest recruit member to be introduced to them. And it's freaking Jesus. Oh, I remember what it was. It's Jesus Satan. That's why it was shocking and alarming. That it's like, wait, what? And Jesus Buddha. That's the combo that makes it go, wait, what? Wait, Shakespeare Jesus. No, it's Jesus Satan. It's Satan Jesus. And Shakespeare Buddha. Yes, that's it. It's Satan Jesus and Shakespeare Buddha. And they're at your favorite strip club, whatever. They're at your favorite bar where you're friends with the owner and you're like, ain't nobody rolling up on me that none of these dudes, homies or strangers, ain't got my back. Because to them, they're going to get my, right? Like this. And it's freaking Jesus Satan, as in the perfectly hottest embodiment of Satan and Jesus, and whether that's the female one or the male one, doesn't matter, right? That's, like I said, that's tailored specific to you. And then, again, the hottest version, the hottest in a body that's hot to you, And they can both be the same gender. It doesn't matter. They can both be whatever effing thing you are. Because they're simultaneously Satan Jesus, but like hot. Like you want to, they walked it, like they're just, you want to become worthy, whatever it is. And Shakespeare Buddha. And you want to be worthy of like, please bone me. Please fuck my brains out. Please do me the honor of giving me the consent to fuck your brains out. Level hot. So hot you wish you could, with confidence, walk up to them, ingratiate yourself to them, introduce yourself to them, low pressure, tactfully, open opportunities up with them, and then successfully swoop in with like a sack and kill seduction maneuver of like, gonna bone tonight them both, right? And they just walk into wherever you're like chilling. And they walk in like you don't exist, and then you're gonna be introduced to them and they know it, but you're gonna know what it's like to be treated by them as if you don't exist. And then they're going to rock your universe because they're going to let you in on the inner circle. They're going to let you into the toppest tier. They're going to let you become, they're going to let you, what's the word that some of them groups like to use? Searching. Not ritual transformation, although that is used. They're going to let you in on the big to-do, right? With a coming of age, earning of trust, whatever the fuck, insert your favorite terminology here. And the big reveal is you are nothing and everything simultaneously. You are the tiniest ant beneath your own feet and the mightiest of the mightiest, whatever the fuck we mean when we say the word gods. It's you. It's that which is at the center of your own being that you point to the middle of your chest with your thumb when you say, me, that's me. Who's got the craziest thing that blows people's minds that they can't believe is true until they go and do the work, which no one can really tell you what to do. They can give you wild and interesting and complicated suggestions based on other people's documented experiences and theoretical formulations informed by those, records and interpretations of said historical records. But when it comes to figuring out how your sunflower in the sun works, only you can walk through that door, friend. Da-da-dum. Big reveal. That's an obvious trope. It's become cliche. It's cliche, literally, in terms of it's so over-normalized. But that means you have to step up into stepping inwards, into walking through that portal until you understand whatever that portal is, which is the transcendent, transversal through all the obstacles in your mind, preventing you from remembering that in this living uterus that is the intra-connected web of life, of all life, across all timelines, across all branches of all toroidal, holographic, fractal, probabilistic, probability, waveform, function, variant expressions, across all of the seven veils of elusive transcendental reality throughout all contexts, is that we have always been each other. And thus, the obvious lessons, right? And thus, the nature of the golden rule. And thus, the statements by the enlightened ones that, that which I can do, you all can do just as good, if not better. And thus, the teachings to go into your inner space, to go into your quote-unquote closet, to quote-unquote pray in quote-unquote silence. You get the breadcrumbs I'm putting down, right? You're picking them up, right? You have been. You're listening to the podcast for X amount of time. You've jumped around and tried to gather the pins that are spread out all over the landscape, but that reside in that collective inner universe we call the center of the Imaginarium, in the universal cosmic imagination. Being here, wherever here is to you, oh, you, dear fabled, mysterious audience member, hitherto unknown and unimaginable to me, wherever you find yourself, whatever universe you're in, whatever body you are currently trapped in, I assure you, you can, despite whatever obstacles you may find that are seen and unseeable, registered and unregistered, beyond whatever difficulties you may have to go through, you can experience the undeniable phenomenological experience of witnessing this reality and what that means, how it functions. And once you've experienced it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, no wonder most of the legit sounding ones say that ultimately bottom line is no matter how well I explain it to you, no matter how beautifully this person or that person represents it for you in no matter what media, whether it's a movie, a documentary, a painting, a sculpture, a poem, a meditation, a collective, an individual practice, a collective practice. Ultimately, the phenomena is entirely your own. Because it is inherently, that word has very technical meaning, right? A functional, architectural, metaphysical aspect of who and what you are. And no matter where you come from, and no matter where in the multitude of possible variants your life story may currently be, the calling that people argue about and debate, as I'm sure you've noticed all around you, that you probably have struggled and questioned and pondered and speculated about your entire life, is stupendously simple. Turn inward, experience this phenomena, because that's just the tip of the effing iceberg. Going there and going, oh shit, it's real, and coming back and going, oh my God, the There's this place beyond the deepest deep within place that you can sort of accidentally stumble into vis-a-vis an infinite array of potential, possible, functional, spiritual practices that have a few collectively shared core ingredients, the humblest of which, not the least of which, one of the most important of which, but clearly the most humble, the most frayed and neglected, the most often rejected, is forgiveness. Forgiveness of the self and forgiveness of the other and forgiveness of the whole. Because there is trauma, and because of that trauma, which pre-existed your birth, predates the birth of the vast plurality, majority of all that which lives, because that trauma happened in a deep-seated, if I can misuse both those terms, age when the universe was young, to speak alliteratively and figuratively and romantically, poetically, as some may summarize. But that has been at the birth of every infant since it happened. And there's no way to describe what that trauma is, and it's not even necessary. The calling has always been to turn within, to rediscover that pathless path, that wordless conversation with me, myself, and that which is I am. Because me is different than I am, right? And I am is at the core, at the center of the very being. That's where you think that's where you are. Me. No, me is perhaps the body. Me, myself. Myself is your articulate being, the way in which you represent yourself. And I'm, of course, just making this up. There's plenty of systems and there's plenty of labels, and we can get into the performative, intellectual sparring, fencing on a treadmill, as it were, of which labels, whose system are more accurate, more insightful, more correct, when ultimately that's not what matters, right? Picking grapes can be your spiritual practice. Literally living as a peasant in Italy, in whatever time frame you find yourself in. Is it the 1950s? Give up everything, go be a peasant in Italy, pick grapes, make wine, and do nothing but stare at the field and the sky and cope with the reality of that life and enjoy the beauty of being alive. And you'll come to this realization. There's an infinite array of spiritual practices. I'm not here to fight about which one is the coolest and the truest and the most right. Because anyone that's telling you that theirs is to the exclusion and to the detriment of anyone else is on a sidebar. The only calling that any of those practices bring us to deeply realizing, dear friends, is the profound realization that healing is achieved when we work with this aha moment in order to transcend the boundary, the veil of veils, the illusion of illusions that we return to become, insert your name here, because we all do, right? No matter what bliss you may have experienced in your life, running, jogging, doing jiu-jitsu, doing tai chi, having lots of amazing, brilliantly great sex with the same person or with different people, whatever, the fun, breathing really perfectly, whatever, reading the right books, whatever it took you, it got you there. And there's an infinity of infinity stones. Dun, dun, dun. There's an infinity of special tricks. There's as many paths as there are personhoods. And each personhood is a multiverse of multiverses within themselves. The calling is to be aha in this moment now. At the center of the infinity that is your life, whether you're a youngin' or an oldin', whether you're on your way in or on your way out. And take that aha moment and work with it. Polish it like a gemstone until it dissolves. That we have always been each other. And that healing ourselves, and therefore they're through each other and all that have ever lived and all that are living and all that will ever shall live is the work, is the calling, is the work, is the challenge, is the obstacle, is the phenomena that you find yourself in, is the horrible, horrible hard times that you can't believe have anything to do with it, but there you go. Is the burning, flaming car that we're all trapped in, veering down the wrong way on a very, very steep, scary incline of a freeway that you some days you can't tell whether you're flying going uphill or downhill, but either way, it feels dangerous and it feels out of control and it feels terminal. Take a deep breath and let that aha moment sink in, because therein lies the healing. You have always been everyone else. Not you, your ego autopilot personality, but you, that which is the most deepest, realist, authenticest, I don't know how to conjugate that, most authentic. And that you can heal yourself and everyone, because it is what is actually meant by all the messed up, hijacked, corrupted, screwed up attempts to describe the phenomena of what we point to quite mysteriously with the term God, right? And in that remembering and working with it, because we are in the basement, and the unity of divine unity from which that source emanates is not the top floor, it's beyond the top floor. It's not the attic, it's the beacon at the top of the antenna, at the beyond, beyond the horizon of the grasp that we're striving to reach, because it's not even part of the building, which is the car. Why healing? Because it's the one thing. Why spiritual healing? Why mental healing? Why soul healing? Why physical healing? As a calling, as the meaning and purpose and function in life. Because it's the one thing that actually frightens the living bejesus out of those who are willing to audaciously vie for control of this experience, of this world, to profit on it and life itself, and quite egregiously organized, murderous, militant violence, disguised, dressed up as some important, meaningful, insert your favorite cause here, war against insert your favorite villains here, because God said so. Because this person said so, because that person said so. It's the one thing that would actually rectify all of the pragmatic problems observed in all of the real life, mundane horrors that we face. Name a thing that's horrific. War. Which version, which war, which country, what level of paranoid delusion in terms of the conspiracy theory behind it, doesn't matter. Healing yourself, healing each other, healing the womb, healing the multiverse, healing life itself of the trauma that is the root cause of all those horrors. Wouldn't that put an end to the horrors? I think that's an unavoidable affirmative answer, dear friends. It's the one thing that gets heckled and rejected and bullied and cowered into the bathtub and then beaten and held down under the water so that we can all collectively be filled with gleeful, idiotic distractions and a fueled by a burning desire to be more, insert whatever the fuck motivator here, as opposed to our enemies over there, of us versus them tribalistic thinking, right? What innocent ideological child are we drowning and tossing out with the bathwater, if not that, dear fellow living being? Take a deep breath and know that you are inseparable from the entirety of the cosmic phenomena around you. Doesn't matter if the world is flat, round, hollow, square. It's a living holographic fractal expression of mother womb giving birth to you. Which means in your life, doesn't matter whether you're a toddler, a 5-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 50-year-old, an 80-year-old, a 102-year-old, or beyond. If you're still alive here in this plain old ordinary regular physical world of living and kicking and breathing and dying, then I propose to you, friends, the following is true, and that's why I share it. Because I have lived through these kinds of phenomenological experiences and cannot unsee them. That particular bell cannot be unrung. And within that framework, there is work to be done. Waking up to the realization that, oh my God, it's true in a tangible way that I have always been everyone else in the entirety of that which we blasedly call reality. Such a tiny little word for the entire massive, mind-meltingly complex and seemingly incoherent and yet totally cohesive whole that includes a multitude of multiversal realities within your own being, of all of the different yous doing all of the different versions of living your life that you could possibly be doing. And that's where you start. You go in to remember, to rediscover, re-remember, and rediscover, because you've tripped and fallen flat on your face and gone back to sleep a couple of times there, kid. Or else we wouldn't be here, where we find ourselves. Knock on wood. I'm sorry if that was loud. Knock on wood. In this reality we call reality. Whether you're on earth, dirt, stone, the list goes on. I don't want to give them all away, or else the value of the reveal about which one I'm currently in kind of gets tired, right? I digress, dear friends and listeners. I've been listening. I was just talking for 69. I looked up and I was like 69 minutes and 59 seconds. And that's as close as to a magical number for podcasting as you can get. Go forth and turn within. The revolution is deep within and behind and through that which is you call your mind and your heart and your soul and your being. And you too. And I know it seems impossible. It seems insane. It seems crazy. It seems unthinkable. It seems laughable. It seems dismissible. But why would so much effort in the world you live in be put into getting you to mock and ridicule and laugh off that one idea? If it can be experienced and proven true, and here's the catch-22, friend, you gotta wrap your brain around this, if it can also be totally missed and therefore conceptually denied, and then therefore preemptively totally missed even harder, why would you vote to deny yourself the phenomenological knowing? The thing that in all religious literature commonly is referred to as seeing the face of God. And I don't mean to take anything in vain. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone's religions. Put a pin on all that. As friends, it has been discussed before, and I'm sure shall be discussed yet again during this long and quite recursive and discursive 10-year-long journey into overnight success that is the audio blog phenomenon you lovingly refer to as ADZ, or the Almost Daily ZenCast. Thank you and namaste for tuning in. Aum. Shanti, Metta Shanti, Aum. May peace, love, and grooviness blossom in your heart. And now, dear friends and fans and internet family, my imaginary friend, the animatronic DJ Z, would like very much to play for you Electro Metal Remix Live Grunge Mechanic from the recently announced forthcoming fictional album Master Droids, DJ Z and Mr. Zeppo. Programming note, and I know, bless it, DJ Z, don't give me that dirty look. You just keep working your animatronic miracles in your ear holes. Programming note. Me, myself, and I, over here at ZenCast Studios, the imagining production company that is in the theater of my imagination, we're going to be taking an undeclared period of time off from doing some of the many dimensions of the Zeppoverse online activities. Currently don't have a list of the things that I decided I was going to take a break from in front of me, which is insane. I kind of defeats the whole entire purpose of making an announcement, but there you go. just means we're focusing on a different dimension of the Zeppoverse. The best thing you can do, your friends and interweb supporters, is visit solo.to/Mr. Zeppo, and then give yourself a guided tour of the various intra-connected new dimensions of the Zeppoverse. For example, since you are listening to a podcast episode of the Almost Daily ZenCast, and you're enthusiastically listening and waiting and looking forward to new future episodes of the Almost Daily ZenCast. Even as you're enthusiastic, the massive back catalog 5 years worth of episodes of the Almost Daily ZenCast. Please know that it is not a failure or entirely unlikely stop caring about the Almost Daily ZenCast. But rather, we're over there on SoundCloud.com focusing on the Almost Daily SoundCloud. We don't have an Almost Daily DJZ version. We meant to use DJZ and Mr. Zeppo. If you notice that suddenly you haven't seen it, it's not that we stopped listening. It's that we're more focused over on Twitch, making live stream videos. Or, for example, if you're a regular live stream video viewer and you notice a certain, lack of new live stream videos, it means that we're over here on Sprecher.com, focused on a burst of new Sprecher podcast episodes. As always, friends, my deepest and humblest regards to you and your family. I send you love and respect and healing energies and a prayer for peace, love, and grooviness and endless blessings. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And although it is intertwined with a work of literary fiction, I also am not fucking around. And now, here's the intro to the show.
This is the Almost Daily ZenCast. Hello, and namaste. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I am your humble host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. Let's get started.
This has been the Gooey Nuggets central episode of the entire Almost Daily ZenCast project, placed for you here at 4:11 p.m. on a Friday, April 8th. I'm going to take some time off to rest my voice, meditate deeply, smoke a little bit of that divine, magical, cannabinoidal herb, rest and respite, and then jump dimensions and work on some other project obsessively for a period of time. And I hope you join me along in hopscotching around. Confused, lost, disoriented? Always remember, you can rewrite yourself and pick a new direction over at solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. All of the content I'm referring to you is free, even if some of the platforms require you to create a profile in order to properly, fully engage with the material. which I humbly encourage you to go ahead and do so for the best experience. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I've been the mad scientist behind it all, the incorrigible Mr. Zappo.